Natasha, it is a privilege to have you on our platform. Um, uh, my name is Chris Thwala. I'm a founder and a director of Minds of Good Health. And it is indeed a privilege to have you on our platform. And you've been very generous with your time. Um, just before we start to talk about mental health and all that, won't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe some of the things that we don't read on the media. Just tell us about yourself. What do you enjoy? What's your favorite time of the year? Yeah, just those kind of things.
So I am an Ital South African. My parents are of Italian origin. I was born here. So my favorite time of the year is normally August, because I go and visit family in Italy, because in August the whole of Italy goes on holiday. So this is one of the few years that I haven't been together with my family over the summer period, which is summer in Italy. So it's a strange time for me, of course, because one misses one's family. But I'm 41 years old. I'm the youngest of 3 children. So I'm the first one to tell you I'm an absolute spoiled brat. I have, my brother is 12 years older than me, and my sister is 11 years older than me. And they've always treated me like one of their kids. So I'm very lucky. It's like I have 2 parents, 2 moms and 2 dads. And I think that they've given me a lot of my self-confidence in life. And they're my biggest cheerleaders. So I'm very lucky to have them around. And when I'm not working, I'm still working. I'm a workaholic. It's something that grounds me, and it keeps me focused, and it keeps me happy, because I really enjoy my job. And I'm a real big animal lover, so I try and do as much as I can for animal organizations. And I like the unconditional love that animals give. So that's me in a nutshell.
Great. Natasha, I read something very striking this morning. Let me quote. It says, when the dark sky consumes you, when you feel lost in starless night, tell me your troubles and I will be your light. Let me repeat. When the dark sky consumes you, when you feel lost in starless night, tell me your troubles, I will be your light. Now, that is a friend saying to someone who is in the dark. But we don't know how many people who can be that light. At the moment in South Africa, we are experiencing a lockdown, and I really think that some people also, they are in a mental lockdown. And I just wonder how we can encourage people to maintain their mental health during this dire period, dire epoch, really, as to say. How would you encourage South Africans during this time, Natasha?
You know, my experience is that kindness goes a long way in helping you in life, in work, and certainly with your family. And I've always been told that you never know the burden that someone is carrying when first you meet them. So always be kind as your first reaction, because you don't know what they're going through. Now, I follow the teachings of the Dalai Lama, and I'm a devout Buddhist. And part of our practice is that we don't consider ourselves to have a religion. We consider love to be our religion. And I consider it my duty to make sure that people know that I am, I don't want to say I'm a light, but that they know that I'm someone that they can come to if they have a problem. And I also consider myself very lucky, because I have never suffered from depression. Yeah. But I have been around people that have suffered from depression. And I have watched them suffer in silence until finally it was almost too much for them to maintain. And then they came out and they told me that they were suffering from depression, and I was able to help them. And if I have one message for anyone, some people have diabetes. Some people have acne. Some people have lung disease, just like any other disease. So depression is a disease. It's not something that you can turn on and off. I hate it when people say, just put a smile on your face and everything will be all right. when someone is so deeply depressed that they are in that surrounding of blackness, of course no one wants to be in that feeling, that all dark feeling. Of course someone would rather just smile. And I think that we need to encourage people to openly say, I'm suffering from depression. I require your help. And in this country especially, I have found that asking for help has become seen as somewhat of an admittance that you're not courageous or that you're not strong. I think asking for help is the greatest show of strength, because at the end of the day, we all need each other. And if we start listening to one another and being self-aware enough to understand that we can't do everything ourselves, it will go a long way in this depression. And I want to tell South Africans, if I could tell them one thing.
Yes.
If you feel normal right now, that's abnormal. There is no one right now that feels normal, because things are not normal. Nothing is normal. And we're using this term, the new normal. I hate it, because it shouldn't be this, the way life is now. It shouldn't be like this. And I hope that soon life will go back to the old normal. Because I, for one, I'm almost neurotic. I live in fear that something will happen to my parents who are elderly. I live in fear for my friends, that they're going to catch the disease. And so many people have recovered from the disease, but some people aren't that lucky. Yeah. So there's this underlying fear that we all have. All of us live in fear of crime in our country. And it's something that we need to acknowledge, that it's a subconscious fear, that we know that we're surrounded by crime all the time, and that at any point we could become a victim, or our family could become a victim. And that, to me, is it's almost like we suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome, because we are always under so much stress. Yeah. And as South Africans, I think we need to start learning to verbalize a lot more about what we're feeling inside. And we must teach those, because many cultures, it's a cultural thing as much as an age thing. Many cultures don't understand the concept of depression. They don't think it exists. And they frown upon it. And I think that we need to take this massive shift in culturally, the way we understand it. And certainly an age thing has got something to do with it. I know my parents, my mother will say, oh, when I was young, no one was depressed. You know, sometimes we were sad, but depression wasn't a thing. Well, of course it was a thing. People have always had depression. It wasn't spoken about and categorized the way it is now. Yeah. And also there are different kinds of depression that people suffer from. And there's sometimes the depression is brought on by grief. Sometimes it's brought on by stress. Sometimes we not self-induce it, but we cause ourselves such angst about being depressed that we make it even worse, because we're so shy about the fact that we could have depression, or we could have, something wrong with it. I'm going to share with you, Chris, I suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder. Yeah. So I do things like I lock the front door, and I have to do it 7 times. So I lock and unlock 7 times. Yeah. And I do things at work with my office. In my office, I lock the door 7 times. And on my cell phone, when I finish speaking to you, I open and close the phone. Everything must be done in 7s. Yeah. Now, does that mean I'm mad, or does that mean I'm strange? Perhaps to someone who doesn't know what OCD is, yes, it looks very strange. Yes. To me, it's a way of the way I control my surrounding. So I've learned that I don't hide it from anyone anymore. If they ask me what I'm doing, I tell them I suffer from OCD. And part of the way I deal with this infliction is that I do my rituals. And what I have been told by my friends who suffer from depression is that often there are rituals that they can do, or habits that they form that help them cope. And I think when people are coping, especially in times like this, we should encourage those coping methods and never laugh at them or never think that they're strange, because I think we're all just doing the best that we can. Yeah. And to me, anyone who's surviving lockdown at the moment is heroic, because it's an abnormal time and everything around us is upside down. So I take my hat off to everyone who's just surviving. And people need to know that at the moment, just surviving
Mm.
is a heroic act, because we can't thrive at the moment. No one is thriving because we're too busy just surviving. So if you're surviving, hats off to you, because you've seen through another day and you're
Yes.
doing absolutely brilliantly well.
Yes. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Natasha. So I was just going to say that I've got two worlds. So I'm a Zulu man, and at the same time, I stayed with the family in Dorset, Sherborne, which is southwest England for a couple of years. So when I suffered with depression, so I told my uncle that. Well, I didn't tell him. He just saw that I was acting out of normality, so I was not normal. And he said to me, "Look, you need a drink. You need a drink."
Mm-hmm.
And my devout Christian adopted father in the UK said to me, "Well, you need to pray." And so you're absolutely right, saying that depression or mental health doesn't see color, culture, or boundaries. So it's there and it needs to be treated. So you and also you are 100% right in saying that this is not a new normal. We don't know this. This is not normal. We cannot be fed um, so-called propaganda to say, well, because now we are giving you level 2. This should be normal. No, it's not normal. This is not freedom. It's not something that we know. And so we need to encourage ourselves. We need to know first that there's something that is fundamentally wrong with us, and we need to fix
Absolutely.
it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, no, you
I
go
just
ahead.
wanted to say, it's a bit of it's a scary thought sometimes when we think that you and I are in the position where we can acknowledge mental illness, but so many of our fellow countrymen and women can't acknowledge mental illness. And like you said, your uncle on the one side told you to have a drink, and your adopted father on the other side told you to pray. But actually what you needed was some mental assistance,
Yeah.
and maybe even some medication.
Yeah.
Because what people don't understand is that many times there's a chemical imbalance that causes the depression, and it's far beyond your control. And it scares me to think that maybe if you'd had that one drink, maybe it would have given you that relief for that second, but then you would have needed another drink and another drink and another
for sure.
another drink.
For sure. Yeah.
And maybe if you'd gone and prayed and you hadn't been immediately fixed or immediately cured, you would have lost any faith that you ever had.
Yeah.
Because as much as we know that there's a higher power, and we know that God is a great way for us to relieve a lot of our stress if you're religiously inclined, it also has the ability to, if you aren't immediately healed, that you lose faith, because you would say, why have you forsaken me, God? And that's why it's so important, for us to speak and to teach everyone that mental illness is okay, and it's happening, and there are treatments for it.
Let me tell you, Natasha, so both ways for me failed because I tried a drinking thing to drink my problems away. It didn't work. I prayed and I thought, well, maybe I'm probably the worst sinners. Paul, in his letters in Acts to the Philippians, I think, he says that I'm the worst, or to Corinthians, he says I'm the worst of the sinners. And I thought, well, maybe Paul was just joking. I think I'm the worst of the sinners because I'm failing to get help from the Bible. And alcohol didn't provide the way either. And Dr. Dave Danis came along my way and he helped me. So it is absolutely crucial for one to look after their mental health and come to a point and say, well, there is a chemical imbalance here. Now, just a last question. just an encouragement, because we're talking about mental health. And for many people, when you talk about mental health, they shy away from that. They don't want to open that door and face themselves, face the other Chris, face the other Natasha, and see that, okay, this is lockdown. I'm not going anywhere. I'm facing another person that I didn't want to face. Now, that comes with taboo. That comes with derogatory things when it comes to mental health. How do we then, as a society, repudiate anything that is taboo towards mental health?
Well, I think it goes with people like you and I who understand mental health. It goes to us speaking to communities and speaking to people who perhaps don't understand mental health.
Yeah.
It goes to people like you and me having these kind of conversations that we're having today, and sometimes having to force the issue to make people listen and to make people give us a platform on which we can speak and normalize the fact that mental health is an illness just like any other. And you know, you as a Zulu man, you have an incredible responsibility, and you have a task towards all fellow Zulu men who might be in the same predicament as you. You need to stand up and say, my brothers, look at me. I'm one of you, and I suffer from mental health, and I can help you. I, as a white South African woman, I have a tremendous responsibility to tell other women, you know, ladies, you're not overwhelmed by too much work or by naughty children. You have a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's up to you and me as people who have some kind of influence to speak openly about mental health. And that's what we do with all taboos. Is why is it a taboo? It's a taboo because people don't understand it. So we have a responsibility to educate and to enlighten people as to what the true state of mental health is. And, you know, I'm at the moment, I'm in Cape Town during the lockdown period because I have to be close to Parliament. And a man committed suicide not too far away from where I am now. And I used to see him every morning. And I often think, if I'd ever just once stopped and saw him sitting on the bench and saw him looking perhaps longfully at the sea, which I used to see, maybe next time I see someone doing that, I'll sit down and I'll just say hello. Because if I had known that the next day he wouldn't be on the bench and that he was sitting there looking out at sea, contemplating life or death, maybe me sitting down and saying hello would have changed his life. And, you know, they talk about the butterfly effect. You know, if a butterfly flaps its wings in this world, does it affect, you know, a parallel universe? Well, maybe sometimes all it takes is a smile or a hello to fundamentally change someone and make them change their mind from taking their life to carrying on with life. Because sometimes people who are depressed feel exceptionally lonely.
Yes.
Because when you're in that dark space,
Yes.
you feel completely alone. So maybe we need to start talking to each other more too, and stop this taboo that we can't speak to strangers. Of course we can speak to strangers. We can go up to anyone and say, hi, how are you? And introduce yourself to someone. And we never know what kind of difference we'll make in someone's lives. But especially now during lockdown, my message of hope is that we've got this far and every day is a victory. And carry on seeing every day that you survive lockdown as a victory. And if you are suffering from mental health, there is nothing wrong with that. I hope that you have the support that you need. And if you don't, make use of lifelines and mental health centers around the country.
Yes.
And also, there are always people that will help. And my message to my friends is always that in my house, the couch is always there and the kettle will always be on. So if you need to talk, there's always someone that you can talk to. And I think it's important that we let people know that they're never alone.
That's incredible, Natasha. You know, what has encouraged me? What has really encouraged me is that I can reach out to public figures such as yourself, Helen Zille, Pel Shongwe, Jamie, and you guys are able to say, okay, we're going to put this time aside to talk about such issues because we think this is very important. And I really take off my hats to you because this is incredible. I mean, this is not politics or anything to your interest. This is to benefit South Africans. So I really, really, really appreciate this. And in as much as people download videos of I don't know, indecency or whatever, people must download these kind of videos and share them around because this is incredible. And I feel encouraged. I feel very, very encouraged. There's a guy that watched the interview between me and Helen, and he said to me that, Chris, I was actually thinking of ending it. And because I watched that interview, it really encouraged me. So I always say that I don't know who's going to watch this interview. I have no idea. I'm here in Cape Town. It's raining. I'm about to cook my soup or whatever. I don't know who's going to watch this interview, but I'm definitely sure that it's going to touch someone's life. So I really thank you for your time, Natasha. Really, really appreciate it. You've been very generous with your time, as I've said before.
Chris, I'm just so happy that people like you are helping. So, I mean, just chatting to you helps me. I mean, today I didn't have a good day. It was a really heavy day in lockdown for me. And chatting to you has made me feel happy. And it goes to prove what we said, is that if we talk to each other more, we build each other up. And I don't think that anyone talks or meets or even looks at each other by chance. And I'm very encouraged, and I think that you are an inspiration to me. So believe you me, the honor has been all mine, and I applaud you for being brave enough to acknowledge that there was a problem and that you took it on. Not only that, but you're changing the lives of people every day. So Chris, from my side, thank you, and thank you to for everyone that you've saved. You, sir, are an inspiration.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you very much for your time, and see each other again sometime.
Absolutely. Stay safe.